Hey there, CINEMASTER fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The series Zombie Detective begins with a woman walking peacefully when suddenly a zombie attacks her, and he is so savage that she doesn't even have time to open her mouth. This started exactly a year and 2 months ago. We started hearing news saying that tonight is not an ordinary night, it's the night of the full moon, which is considered a disaster because humans turn into werewolves and eat animals, humans and anything else they encounter. We see a person flipping through the news saying, "What nonsense is this?" He turns on some music and everything seems fine. Then 2 people appear disposing of hospital waste in a bad way, and the police discover this and move the waste until they find a proper way to dispose of it, so as not to harm the environment. But the surprise is that someone appears under the waste, and he is a zombie. He starts looking around asking, "Where am I?" He takes a cigarette out of his pocket, his hand trembling, surprised at his appearance and changed skin. He finds a broken mirror piece, looks into it and is shocked to discover that he has turned. Even more so when he takes a drag. His nose starts bleeding from everywhere. He begins to walk not remembering anything or what happened to him, and keeps asking himself, "Where should I go?" The next day we see the heroine, who works as a journalist, filming in front of the house of the man who appeared, while he is listening to the news. He sees her and tries to catch her, but she and her friend escape quickly. The man lets his dog out, telling it to go after the heroine, and she can't escape from the dog, so she hides until her friend comes and saves her. Then, the heroine and her friends catch the homeowner. The heroine scolds him for what he did, and goes to him, thinking he is the criminal the police are looking for, and hits him to make him confess. We return to the zombie, whose name we learn is John. We see him trying to hunt a rabbit, starving, but unfortunately he failed, so he pretends to faint, and as soon as the rabbit comes near, he attacks it. After satisfying his hunger, he wonders, become a monster, killing innocent animals. He decides, unfortunately, that it's over for him. Looking at his clothes, he finds them all bloody and fears someone will notice if they see him, so he takes the jacket in front of him and wears it. What he doesn't know is that he took the hero's jacket, and she thinks he's homeless, so she leaves it for him and even gives him money, being very kind to him, while all he can think about is eating her for dinner. The next day, John goes to the cinema and watches a zombie movie, seeing them being killed by humans, and he is terrified this will be his fate. He says, "I have to live like humans and act like them so no one discovers I'm not human." The first thing he does is practice walking normally. With time and continuous training, he manages to walk naturally. Next, he learns to eat like them so they won't suspect him. At night, John is hiding in the abandoned place he considers his refuge, but suddenly notices someone killing another person. He approaches the murdered person and is surprised to find him still alive. The man gives him his key and tells him the address, handing him a card with the exact location, then dies. John buries him, resisting his urge to eat him, proving he is a zombie with better morals than many humans. After that, he goes to the address on the card, enters the house quietly, and is very happy to find meat in the fridge. He eats and decides to stay in the house. The next day, the food runs out, so he decides to return to the forest because there are many animals there, and he can eat freely. But if he stays in the city, he will die of hunger. After thinking, he decides that returning to the forest is not a good solution, and it's better to stay where he is and work like humans to earn money so he can buy food. He spends all day looking for work. Then he decides to go out on the street, puts cream on his face to hide his strange skin, and wears a hat and coat, making him look like Detective Conan. The kids in the street see him and say he looks like a detective. John says to himself, since he can't find a job, he might as well trick the kids. He pretends to be a detective to get their money, but the kids object and ask him to return their money. At this moment, the heroine passes by. She sees the kids shouting and asks them, "What happened?" They tell her that John took their money. So, as a social worker, she tries to get the money back from him politely, but he pushes her and walks away. She keeps chasing him, but he's faster than her. That's why she finds a helmet placed next to her on the motorcycle, so she takes it and throws it at him. He falls to the ground, and she hopes his end won't be at the hands of humans. The heroine runs to him, afraid he might be dead, and she could get in trouble. She calls an ambulance, and the paramedic tries to wake him up. He goes to buy cream to hide his face, but the shopkeeper tries to exploit him and wants to sell him the cream at a high price, even though he doesn't have any money for anything, not even for food. On his way, he sees a fat man who provokes him, and he really wants to take a bite out of his neck, but he resists himself and decides to look for an animal. After searching, he finds a dog, so he takes it, and he's about to eat it or something, but at the last moment, he feels sorry for it and lets it go. He goes out to look for food on the street and sees a restaurant open. He tries to steal food, but the employee sees him and tells him to come inside the restaurant and order. He says he doesn't have money. At that moment, two people dressed as zombies pass by, and he thinks they are real zombies. They keep watching him from a distance, but in the end, he discovers they're actors putting on a show for the restaurant opening. One of them sees John watching them and goes up to him saying, "Come on, dance, let's earn some money." He starts dancing. After that, John goes into the restaurant, sneaks into the kitchen and eats the food raw. He's shocked when someone behind him screams, calling him a monster. John hits him and escapes before anyone sees him. The person who saw him tells the heroine, "I saw someone eating raw meat." She doesn't believe him, but the actors say he might be right, because the person who performed with them wasn't one of them. Maybe he was a real zombie. The next day, John continues his training to maintain his ability to walk like a human, and hides his face with the cream. He's about to leave when he's surprised to see the heroine knocking on his door and entering the house without permission. He's afraid she discovered he's a zombie or something, but relaxes when she says she came to take him to the hospital to make sure he's okay because she's worried something might have happened from the previous hit. He refuses and asks her to leave, then stays in his place, thinking about what to do and how to live with humans all around him. Suddenly the door knocks again, and it's an old woman. From her words, he realizes she's the landlady and wants the rent. He tells her, "Can you give me just 2 days and I'll get it for you?" She says, "If you don't pay the rent within a week, I'll evict you from the house." She leaves, and he's upset, thinking about where he'll get the rent money. At night, our friend is walking in the street and sees the heroine drunk, and there are two guys with her who seem to have bad intentions. He chases them away and stands in front of the car to save her. He manages to take her away, and she asks him why he did that. He says, "I'm not interested in saving you." She gets closer to him and says, "You look like a really nice guy," and hugs him. The next day, the heroine wakes up with a headache and doesn't remember anything. After a while, she remembers when John asked her for a large sum of money as compensation for the injury she caused him when she hit him. Meanwhile, John is upset because of all the bills for the person whose place he took. Suddenly, he opens it and finds the heroine, who is upset because he asked her for a large amount of money. "Don't you think that it is too much?" he says. "Fine, give me whatever money you have." She says, "I don't have money." He realizes she's also poor and decides to rely on himself and goes out to look for a job. While walking down the street, he sees a job advertisement, but before he can talk to the lady handing them out, she leaves. He then goes to get the dog he had before and decides to use it to make money by renting it to kids so they can play with it. Anything to make money. He's surprised when the heroine comes to him and says she wants legal advice. John understands from her words that the person whose place he took was a detective. While they're talking, a woman comes and gets upset with him for not answering the phone. He realizes she came for the detective, so he decides to act as if he is the detective. He notices that most people don't know what the detective looks like, because he rarely went out, and decides to take advantage of that. The woman gives him a picture of her daughter and tells him, "If you find her, I'll give you a lot of money." John is shocked by the money but wanted to refuse the offer. The heroine convinces him, saying she'll help him, and in return, she'll drop the compensation claim. He looks at the bills he has to pay, and decides to accept the offer. The search for the missing girl begins, and he and the heroine look for any clue to find her, but they find nothing and return home. John discovers that he's run out of cream, so he asks the heroine to get him some. She does, and is surprised by his obsession with the cream. After a long search, they reach the girl who is in a rehabilitation center, and John goes there to look for her, and becomes upset with the rules in the place, especially since they all eat vegetables and he must eat meat. And at night he was hungry, so he enters the kitchen and breaks the lock on the refrigerator. But he cannot find anything except bread, so he gave it to one beside him because she is also looking for food. Suddenly he feels that someone is coming, so he hides him, and the manager enters, yells at the girl, and has the guard forcefully return her to her room. He yells at his assistant, and we learn this is a weight loss center with strict rules. John listens to the manager talking to his assistant and realizes they're actually scammers, bringing in girls who dream of being slim just to make money off them. John starts discovering more and more, seeing them doing strange things. He tries to escape, and the guards notice and chase him. After a fierce chase, he manages to escape. At the same time, we see the heroine talking to her friend. She finds out the center belongs to a cult that targets young people and sells them the dream of a healthy body. but in reality, they exploit them. The heroine decides to go save John and get him out of there, but the girl at the door refuses to let her in. So our heroine waits outside, and suddenly she sees John running out with his face covered. At that moment, John starts having flashbacks of his life before he died and realizes he was running too, and apparently someone was chasing him, trying to get rid of him. After that, the heroine comes to him and tells him, "I discovered that the issue is much bigger than we thought. It's not just about a missing girl, that's it. We have to expose this organization for what it is and save the girl and everyone with her." He looks at her without responding, shocked by what he remembered. The next day, the heroine keeps calling for John to come out so they can continue the investigation, but he doesn't come out because his cream is finished. The heroine brings a gas stove and cooks in front of the door to force him to come out because she discovered his weakness. He loves food. Guys, the way to a zombie's heart is through his stomach. But he still doesn't come out, and she's about to leave, having lost hope. But he comes out when it's dark and says he'll continue the investigation on the condition that she brings him more cream. But she agrees and goes to buy the cream that hides his flaws, and she's going crazy from how much he cares about this cream. She goes and gives it to him, he puts it on his face, and then goes to surveil the center where the organization. The heroine tells him that surveillance from afar won't work, and it's better if they go inside. John refuses and tells her it's too dangerous and is afraid to continue. But the heroine changes his mind by telling him that she will get him a big piece of meat, so he agrees. They disguise themselves in workers' clothes to get into the center, and follow the steps exactly as the heroine told him. He reaches the girl they're looking for and tries to get her out, but she refuses to go with him, and it's clear she's not normal. She keeps screaming and saying that if she tried to escape they will throw her in the fire. John realizes she's been brainwashed, and it's impossible to get her to leave with him, so he decides to escape quickly. As he's running, the manager sees him and tries to stop him, but he couldn't at night. John hides inside the center and smells a strange odor that pulls him. When he follows it, he discovers it's the smell of corpses, and sees the head of the organization. But the head doesn't do anything to him and talks to him as if he's the investigator. He tells him he's been investigating him and knows his financial situation is tough. John asks him, "What do you want from me?" He looks at him and shows him a video of the car hitting him, telling him, "When I saw you get up after the car hit you, I knew you weren't a normal human. I'm offering you the chance to be a test subject for us, and we'll do research on you. In return, I'll give you whatever amount of money you want." Of course he agrees, and they start doing experiments to discover his body's strengths. Our guy agrees so he can get deeper inside the organization, and is shocked when he finds out about their weird rituals and brainwashing of young people. After that, the boss introduces John to the young people and tells them he's been sick all his life and his situation is tough, but now, in front of them, he'll cure him to prove he deserves their loyalty. But the shock is that John tells him, "I'll show you," pretending to get worse and about to die, ruining his image among all the young people. The assistant says the police are on their way and they have to escape quickly. As the boss is escaping, the heroine tries to stop him, but he's stronger and hits her. At that moment, John comes and helps her, attacking the boss. Suddenly, his eyes turn red and is about to take a piece of him, but stops at the last moment when he hears the heroine calling him. The police arrive and arrest the organization, and the young people return to their families. Even the girl's mother thanks John and tells him his money will reach him. The heroine is impressed by John and tells him they could make a fortune working together, but he's not interested at all. He goes home and enjoys the meat he bought with the money he got. He comes out of the bathroom after showering and removing his cream, but suddenly he found the heroine in front of him. She gets terrified when she sees him, tells him to stay away from her, and runs away scared, searching the internet to understand what she saw. Her sister tells her that the description matches a zombie, but she's not convinced. But he convinces her that zombies don't feel pain and their hearts don't beat, so she remembers Johnny's strange behavior and screams and says, "How did he not eat me?" So she says, "I will just go ask him." She takes her precautions and puts on a helmet. He notices that she is afraid of him, so he laughs. The heroine enters and talks to him, and she is nervous. He says to her, "Why are you so afraid?" She says, "I am not afraid at all." She keeps drinking and suddenly faints from drinking too much. Johnny looks at her to check if she's okay, and she gets scared and tells him, "I know you're not a normal human." Then she starts to lose consciousness, imagining she'll be his victim. That day passes, and when she wakes up, she looks at her hand and finds it looks like a zombie's hand, so she screams. Her sister comes running at her scream and gets upset when she says she's become a zombie, but it turns out she was just imagining it, and she's surprised to find herself in the hospital. The doctor tells her someone brought her, paid her hospital fees, and left. She asks, "Was it a zombie?" The doctor is surprised and tells her, "It was just a normal young man." At night, Johnny is on the bus, and a police officer comes and asks for his ID. Johnny gets nervous and doesn't know what to do. At that moment, the heroine comes and tells the officer, "Johnny is my boss, and he forgot his ID, because of me, so I vouch for him myself." The officer leaves him. After that, they go to a restaurant together, and he realizes he doesn't even know who he is and is living a life that isn't his. She tells him, "I'll help you remember your life and find out who you are." She advises him to act as a detective, because it's a good job that will get them a lot of money so they can buy a lot of food, so he won't lose control and hurt anyone else. The next day, Johnny decides to throw away his hat and start accepting himself and living among people, but he keeps using his creams. Everyone is surprised by his appearance because it's the first time he walks around normally without hiding his. Meanwhile, the heroine is playing PlayStation with the kids, and she's supposed to kill the zombies in the game. She looks at them and remembers Johnny, saying she can't do that. She starts advising the kids, telling them they should be nice to zombies because they used to be humans like us. At the same time, a police officer meets Johnny and asks if he's really the detective. Johnny is shocked, but the officer tells him he's heard a lot about him, realizing they don't know the truth. He regains his confidence and acts as the detective. The officer says he'll need his help with some cases. The heroine comes and tries to get the officer to leave quickly so Johnny doesn't say anything wrong. Afterwards, she talks to her friend about zombies, saying that once they turn into zombies, they forget their past. At the same time, Johnny is watching a zombie movie to learn, and discovers that the zombie in the movie came from a rich family and his life changed completely. He starts imagining that he could also be from a rich family, dreaming about the luxury he could be living in now, but he snaps out of his daydreams. After that, the heroine tries hypnotizing him, thinking it might help him remember his past, but it doesn't work. She takes him to meet her friend Sang, to ask for help finding Johnny's past, but discovers her friend is lost too, and she tells her to help her find her. Johnny refuses, but is forced to go with her and gets annoyed because she got him involved. She tells him that Sang helped her in the last case she was filming, so she has to return the favor. He asks, "You mean the case I got fired for?" She feels embarrassed and keeps quiet. They continue searching for Sang's mother until they find her, but she has Alzheimer's and doesn't recognize them. Suddenly, a wild boar appears and attacks the heroine, but Johnny saves her. When her color changes, the heroine gets scared, but he reassures her that he would never hurt her and asks her to wait until he finishes off the boar. She sits next to him, terrified, and asks, "Do you think they eat people?" Johnny then enters a fierce battle with the boar, and the boar almost wins, but at the last moment Johnny defeats it and ties it to a tree. The news spreads among people too, since the boar had caused a lot of problems, so our hero gets honored for it. After that, the heroine suggests to Johnny that they go to a fortune teller to find out who he is, but she doesn't find out anything and realizes the fortune teller is a fraud exploiting people for money. She gets angry with her, takes Johnny, and they leave, disappointed. At the same time, a mysterious person appears and sees a picture of Johnny carrying the boar, saying to himself, he's definitely not a normal human. And this ends the first part of the series. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more